Hello, what's up? It's the Coach Detective here, investigating your favorite albums, and today I'm going to quickly do a second review of the day, and that would be an album review on the latest Alexis Marshall album, House of Lull, House of When. Alexis S.F. Marshall is the frontman of the amazing, fantastic noise rock, industrial rock band Daughters. And yeah, everybody knows that Daughters You Won't Get What You Want is a fantastic album. I love it. Thanks to Fantana's review, it got a lot of recognition. And I also talked about their self titled album, which is an album that I think a lot of people overlook and underrate. It is fantastic, just wild, unhinged, absolutely insane, psychotic noise hell track by track. It is just very chaotic. But seriously, You Won't Get What You Want is one of those rare albums that got released in the 2010s where every single track sounds somewhat different, yet they're all amazing. That album is just near perfect for me. From the very drony and disturbing city song to the scratchy bass and drums that just keeps lagging behind in this very chilling narrative and ocean song to Daughter, one of my favorite songs on the entire album. Super underrated. It is so cold blooded, so depressing, and so hurting to think about. It's like post punk, but abstract darkness, and it's just fantastic. The very beautiful heavenly guitar chords on Satan in the Wait and Guest House, literally one of the most destructive album endings I have ever listened to in my entire life. You Won't Get What You Want is an amazing album from front to back. And some people may say, oh, it doesn't have any listenable value. Really? Because I find myself go back to this album from time to time because it's just that freaking good. But anyways, Alexis Marshall is now on his debut solo album, House of Lull, House of When. And even though it is still very noisy and abstract and very industrial and drony, it still has a lot of differences from Daughter's music. First of all, Daughter's music are generally more danceable than the tracks on this Alexis Marshall album. They're generally groovier, more danceable, and has more melody as well, which adds flavor and color. But this album, on the other hand, is so much drier, so much more scarce, and that is probably one of the reasons why I actually didn't enjoy this album as much as I wanted myself to. When I learned that Alexis Marshall is going to be releasing a solo album, I got hyped. I was like, hype! But I was left a little bit underwhelmed, not knowing what to do. Now, Alexis Marshall actually released a track called Nature in Three Movements last year, which is pretty much what you would expect, industrial rock, very noisy, lots of screams, very intense, and I actually really love it, and it ended up in my honorable mentions in my best songs of the year list. But an entire album full of those, maybe a little too much. Maybe I would have liked a little bit more versatility, a little bit more change-ups here and there. And that is pretty much how I would sum up the album. Now, in my opinion, the album started off really strongly. We have Drink from the Oceans, Nothing Can Harm You, which is a very cinematic opening for the album. We get these very depressively dreadful pianos that are very quiet, and it sets the bass for the drones, and we get these other noise like chain noises and all that. And the performances are really intense and blood boiling, screaming about the past, how the past is an anchor, the past is like a rope, is a rod, and the track is just a very dreadful, very dreary album opener, which is just fantastic in my opinion. The second track is Hounds in the Abyss, and we got these banging drums, ear-piercing tones, and we have lyrics that's very paranoia-inducing. Is it you who's breathing on the other side of the door? Is it you who's letting the air out of my tires? Is it you? and the instrumentals are just really dry and scarce, and it just creates such a strong atmosphere, and I really like that. The third track is also great in my opinion. It's not a very musical thing, to be honest, but it is a very intense track. It is very disjointed. We hear nothing but chain sounds and drum sounds that's just chopped up and broken, coins, other metallic noises, and we have Alexis Marshall just yelling, "Don't get out! Don't go out! Don't get up! You have obligations!" And it's just so threatening. It's such a threatening track, and I kind of like that. But the rest of the album is just kind of so in my opinion. We have Youth as a Religion with its drony quiet strings and quiet spoken word about how God finds you in these little places. And yeah, maybe it's some smart and poetic commentary on religion and the socio-political climate, but really musically, instrumentally, it doesn't really get anywhere. Same for Religion as Leader, with its disjointed percussion sounds and its yelling and screaming. The track No Truth in the Body is a track that pretty much mainly composes of coins dropping and coins shackling, which is really cool, and a single piano note playing in the background. But then again, it doesn't really go anywhere. It doesn't really have much of a structure. It's just there. The track Open Mouth is actually a really solid song, but to me, it kind of sounds like a second part to Hounds in the Abyss. The rhythm, the structure of the song is just really similar. It's very disorienting, very drony, and it's just pure industrial madness, but still, it doesn't reach quite there yet for me. And the track They Can Lie There Forever is basically more banging, smashing sounds, and the track actually has a bit of a hook, but the hook is spoken word, so it doesn't really amount to anything, and it's probably a low point on the album for me. However, the album ends off pretty strongly with Night Coming, with its very scorched, drony pianos and hushed spoken words, and these pianos gets more and more compressed and more noisy as time goes by, and it becomes a very cinematic and terrifying ending, and also very memorable one as well. So yeah, Alexis Marshall's latest debut solo album, not my cup of tea. I wouldn't say I enjoyed it all that much. I love Daughter's music. Daughters make amazing music, but this one is like Daughters, but without the grooves, without much of the rhythm, without much of the structure or the melodies, or any of the build up or anything. And in a sense, this album is a little safer than a Daughters record would. So there is that. So yeah. Unfortunately, I just didn't enjoy this one all that much. My favorite track here is Hounds in the Abyss, and my least favorite is They Can Lie Here Forever. Actually, I really like the album opener too. I'm giving Alexis Marshall's House of Lull, House of When a 6 out of 10. So, have you listened to this album for 1 to 10, which is rated like, and subscribe if you want more. Thanks for watching.